Okay, well, I have 7 o'clock by the clock up there. I'll call the meeting to order, please. I would, before we adopt the agenda, I should like to welcome Mr. Simmons here. You don't need an introduction because everyone here has known you for years and years and years, and we're very happy to have you with us. And I also want to thank Councillor Blanchette for presiding over the previous council meeting, so while I was attending 3 reunions in Saskatchewan. So thank you very much, Councillor. I'm sure you did very well, and I hope you had fun. Good. Okay, thank you again. So 2.1, adoption of the agenda for the September 13th, 2016 regular meeting of council. Torgerson and Blanchette. And are there any amendments? Hearing none, all in favor? Carried. Agenda item 3.1, adoption of the minutes of the August 19th special meeting of council. Blanchette and Salt. Okay. Are there any errors or omissions? Hearing none, all in favor? Carried. 3.2, adoption of the minutes of the August 23rd, 2016 regular meeting of council. Moved by Councillor Blanchette and seconded by Councillor Salt. The adoption. Are there any errors or omissions? Hearing none, all in favor? Thank you again, Councillor Blanchette, for presiding over that one. Agenda.
I'm sorry.
Yes.
Friendly amendment, please, to 3.2. Under regrets. Pardon me.
You're ahead of yourself.
I redact my amendment. Thank you.
All right. 3.3. Adoption of the minutes of the August 31st, 2016 special meeting of council. Motion, please. And it's Blanchette, Salt and Torgerson. Any errors or omissions? Yes.
Thank you. Under those present, it has you as present rather than a regret.
Okay. I couldn't have been. I was in Saskatchewan. So that can be amended. Okay. All right. So adoption then as amended. Carried. 3.4, minutes of the June 7, 2016 Tourism Committee meeting. Recommendation that council accepts the minutes. Okay, Torgerson and Salt. Is there any discussion? Yes, Councillor?
There's a recommendation from that committee to approve Tourism Valemount support of the bandstand project as presented at the Tourism Valemount meeting on June 6th.
Yes. Yes, thank you. Okay, so that's included in the recommendation, and what is council's wish? All in favor? Carried. 3.5, minutes of the June 2016 Direct Heat Use Committee meeting. Recommendation that council accepts the minutes and, pardon me, meeting for information purposes. And that council consider writing a letter of support upon entering negotiations. What exactly does that mean?
It means that based on the delegation received by that committee that evening, that the committee recommended writing a letter of support, the village writing a letter of support upon entering negotiations.
Okay. All right. What is council's wish? Councillor Salt?
Can we do the motion to accept the minutes first?
Okay. I'll ask for a vote for accepting the minutes. Carried. Now, what is council's wish? Salt.
I would like to defer that recommendation until we know more about what negotiations we're talking about, till we have a more solid report as to what we're looking at.
Okay, thank you. So, do you want to put that into a motion? Yes, Councillor Salt. We got it, I'm sure.
That council defers the recommendation from the Direct Heat Use Committee until we have better reporting of the negotiations that are being considered.
Okay, seconder, please. Okay. We have 2 seconders. You take your choice this time. Ms. Shepherd. Okay. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor? Carried. And 4.1, delegations. We have Mr. Craig Dunn, Borealis Geopower. Welcome. How nice to see you.
Thank you for having me.
And the floor is yours.
Thank you. I'm not sure I need this in this room with this voice, but I appreciate you guys having us be able to come and present. We're just going to do a short presentation of some of the activities that we've had ongoing in the last 6 years, but specifically more over the course of the last summer, to talk about some of the commentary about our public community support, letters of support, and things along those lines. In case any of you aren't familiar, I'm Craig Dunn. I'm a chief geologist, one of the co-founders of Borealis Geopower. We've been involved in this area. I've actually been involved in the research exploration side of this Canoe Reach area for geothermal resources for almost a decade now. And we've owned the permit in the area right along the Kinbasket Reservoir since 2010. So we'll cover some of the information. I understand I have exactly 15 minutes, if not more. So I'll make sure that we stay on that timeline.
Not more, not less.
More of a favor to ask then if I go over.
Ms. Shepherd probably directed you.
Yeah. So I think just to get everyone up to speed, if they're not, we leave this slide in every time because I think people forget how amazing a resource we have in our planet. Planet Earth's basically just a giant heat battery, and we have more resource potential for energy, gigajoules of energy, within the first 10 kilometers. So the easy way for people to think about it is sort of the skin of the apple has more heat energy in it than all of the oil and gas resources combined by about 50,000 times. The issue is finding effective ways to cost-effectively develop these resources. So what we're actually seeing is not just from a power perspective, which has been our focus at Borealis from basically the beginning, but also looking at opportunities for everything from community heating to greenhouses to industrial applications as well. So we're going to cover a little bit of that today. I get this question a lot, is why would Craig, as a exploration geologist, leave a perfectly good oil and gas industry right at the height of a lot of the boom? I left because I fell in love with the idea of geothermal. It's baseload, renewable, stable power. It offers an opportunity for emissions-free heating. It's a long-term project design, the type of thing where, as an exploration geologist, if I drill a well, it will actually continue to develop energy for potentially hundreds of years into the future. That concept was quite appealing to me, and then the further we got down with some of our consulting work, we realized that there's an opportunity to actually be a project developer and work in the communities, creating community-based projects that actually supplied a lifetime of energy to that system. The other aspect of it is, people give me this question all the time, is this cost effective? We actually have some of the lowest energy costs, both for heat and for power, globally, period. The issue is the scale of the projects. 20, 30, 40-year project life scales. We're looking at a much different sort of financial design than a lot of the short-term oil and gas, fossil fuel-based systems. So the economics look more like a hydro project than they do like an oil and gas project. So why are we here? Why are we continuing to be here? As you guys are aware, you're at the end of a long power line. You're almost 300 plus kilometers of radial line out to this area. You have actually some of the worst power grid stability in the entire British Columbia system. I don't need to bring this up to everyone who already knows when these lights go out, but what we're hoping to do along this process is to create an environment where the Robson Valley is actually a stable power supply in and of itself. So it actually delivers power instead of coming up all the way to that line and hitting all those communities along the way before it actually makes it, as far north as McBride. We actually can be in a position where we're delivering power back down that line into the communities, specifically yours. When we started the project, the initial goal was power. It was initially designed to deliver about 15 megawatts of power, or about 15,000 homes worth of electricity, back into the system. As we move further and further with the project, we realized that some of our exploration holes had economic value, and that we could actually deliver a heat resource earlier in the system that would help us not only with our project financing and revenue perspective, but also be allowed to give more back to the community in terms of things like residential heating, greenhouses, ecotourism opportunities, and that actually was spurred by a lot of work that we saw being done globally in places like Iceland and New Zealand, who were then looking at offsetting natural gas as their heating supply. Now, when we talk about energy in the global market, most people think electricity, but in reality, a huge chunk of your greenhouse gas emissions going forward is actually coming from a heat resource, up to 15 to 20%. So what we're looking at is helping to create an environment where you can have a heat resource off of the power program, but also in the process of developing a power project. What does that mean for the community? And we get this question quite often is, well, how does that affect me, or what are the jobs? We're looking at everything from aquaponics developers in the area, growing everything from, carrots in warm ground to organic tomatoes that can be sold locally into the market. There's a huge food security aspect of that. You can basically grow food all year round in warm greenhouses, 4-season greenhouse design. But the other aspect of it that I've slowly fallen in love with is the ecotourism side. I didn't quite understand, and I even worked as a kayak guide when I was in my younger days, how much this industry has grown and how much opportunity it creates in a community. And I think the mountain bike program is a great example of how many people will literally go to a place just because of the recreational activities associated with it. And the snowmobile crowd's one example, but mountain biking and hiking and stopping in at some of the hot springs. There's 800,000 people that attend the hot springs of Banff, Radium, and Mayette, I think. And those opportunities could be, perfect community opportunities as well. So what does that mean? Our very first stop on our adventure was originally just to move towards exploration drilling for our power supply. What we're looking at now is the very first step is actually going to be a geotourism destination. So we're working hopefully with the local marina. That's one option for us to be drilling within our permit area and delivering what will look like an organic style hot spring. We would like to be able to supply the heat to that hot spring indefinitely. And that's an amazing opportunity, I think, to not only showcase the heat resource at depth, so help us with our exploration program, but to also bring back that hot spring culture that I'm very sure many in this community miss based on illegal photos I saw in the paper a few months ago. Anyone familiar with what I'm talking about? You're not really supposed to swim in the reservoir, but so for us, we're kind of laughing about the idea that we would have access to a geothermal hot spring year-round, 365 days a year. And by doing that, we can actually put it onto the east side of the lake because of all the exploration work that we've done to uncover where we should be drilling. Second phase of the project, and I'm quite grateful to all the people who are involved in the Valemount Community Forest work to help us get to this. We have a memorandum of understanding right now with the Valemount Community Forest to help them to develop a green renewable energy source for their eco park. This is a brownfield site. I'm sure most of you are aware of it. It's in the process of sort of being reconditioned so that you could do it for other industrial applications. Our goal is to be able to offset, instead of using electrical heating or propane or even wood heating, we can actually supply a very cost-effective solution in the form of a direct heat project, geothermally heating pretty much everyone in that facility. And again, we're bringing in some of the own partners for this. We have a, organic, make sure I get this right, shrimp farmer that is looking at developing. We have some greenhouses out of the US that are looking at developing. And I would love to see more of the local community involved in these projects. So if there's a greenhouse idea or, the local brewery is a good example that want to take part in a green renewable energy resource, this is, probably the best opportunity we have. The third stage of this is the power facility. We have not sited this power facility as yet. This will depend on some of our geologic data that comes from our drilling program. And at that point, we're also having the dialogue with BC Hydro at the moment to determine how a geothermal project would go forward under their current IPP program, which is the independent power producer. These are 30 to 40 year power agreements that we would want to be signing. And this again goes back to that idea of creating a stable power supply in the Robson Valley. Just a quick little bit over, so I want to keep this short and sweet. You are sitting on the Rocky Mountain Trench. How many are familiar with this? Yeah. This is a giant crack in the Earth's continent. This is, for us, geologically one of the best geothermal resources in the entire province. It's the same formations that give us radium and In Fairmont, we've been studying this thing for literally 7 to 10 years, 6 years with the permit. We believe that we can see a ton of opportunity, not only where our permit area is, so this is the pink box there, but we actually own a permit area further down, and I'll show those slides. But our exploration programs continue to isolate areas of interest that are further north and closer to the community. How do we know this? We do everything from tree bark sampling, called biogeochemistry, to soil sampling, water sampling. We're looking at ground temperature measurements. If any of you had a chance to see Dr. Martin Unsworth, we're using magnetotelluric surveys, which is one of the main techniques for geothermal exploration globally. We also ran a thermal imaging over the lake bed this spring, which was pretty amazing. And so there's been a great deal of work that's been done to date. And what we do with that data is everything, we call them favorability mapping, looking at areas of interest, and no, these are not to be published. But the general principle for us is that we can identify areas of high interest based on global analogy. So other locations that have similar signatures or similar geologic environments allows us to go forward. This is all of the spots that we've taken, tree samples and all the different symbology. We use a real-time data mapping system that's actually been sponsored by the Sustainable Development Technology Canada. So we're innovating in exploration as we're doing this project. I love this slide. Thank you, Mrs. Nordley. This was our highlight reel of all the community engagement we did, but we were in the Legion, we were in three ranges with Dr. Martin Unsworth. We went door to door, and when I've worked in other projects, community engagement is usually an afterthought. When I got involved in my own projects, I said I would never take that approach. I'm trying to live up to that. And I think for us as a company, we want to make sure that the community is 100% keen to support this project. And we said if the whole community said get out, I would get out. We haven't seen that. We actually had amazing support from the people. I even took a picture of your Superhost sign. That could not be more accurate. This goes, the question is, what are you asking for? I had that question earlier. I'm like, I don't know. I hadn't really thought about it. But I think our ask right now is that we want this community support, the geothermal opportunity. We own the permit, so that gives us certain rights and opportunities to go forward. But what we want to actually see is that this community can take advantage of the fact that we're in the community, we're engaged, we're asking for support, we're asking for feedback. So that's probably the first one. We actually want people to say, I have an issue with this. I want you to run baseline water sampling. And we can do that. That's within our realm. As you can see from the original permit request, the original permit in 2010 was actually further south. That little keyhole mark you can see in the very bottom left is the original hot spring. We've been, with our exploration data that you saw on the other slides, we're actually looking at developing further north. This is not an option to us when the original permit came out. You get what you get. But this request actually goes directly to Order in Council, and it goes to the Lieutenant Governor. So that way, the geothermal resource, as done by our exploration model, we can move forward with developing where we actually think the geothermal resource is, not where the BC Energy Mines thought it might be in 2010. This is my favorite slide of all of them. The pancakes are a hit, mind you, but this one is, all of these green spots are people as of 2 weeks ago, week and a half ago, that all signed letters of support. The area that's patched in is the MOU with the Valemount Community Forest. So this slide shows how much and how amazing people have been, and some of those are the oldest families in the area. We have people who are like, oh, we've been here since 1897. I was like, okay, that wins. We have a world-class team. I'd like to, brag about all the stuff we've done. You can buy me a beer and I'll tell you all about it. But the short answer of it is that we're actually trying to lead Canada in the exploration for geothermal resources and be actually one of the first to develop the first megawatts in Canada. There's 3,400 megawatts in the US right now. Mexico is fourth, and every other country on the Pacific Rim has pulled off how to do geothermal as an energy resource. We are the only country that hasn't done this yet, and so we'd love to be first. That's it. At the end of the day, my only request is that we see the level of support at the village level, at the committee level, that we're seeing in the community.
Thank you. Councillors, do you have any questions or comments? Yes, Councillor Torgerson.
I've seen the presentation once before. I always look forward to seeing it again. Thank you for bringing it forward to council. Can you kind of better explain baseline water sampling?
We do, yes, I can. The short answer of it is most environmental assessment is based on a baseline. So what is the current existing conditions around that area? Whether it's elk populations or groundwater, it could be everything from seismic activity to air pollution. So what we actually like to know is before you started a project, what were the conditions in that environment and how did you affect them with the development of a project? We'll continue to do environmental assessment throughout that program, but there's a number of things that I think are important that if I was in the community, I would want people to know ahead of time before. So what is the current seismic activity in the area? What is the current water quality that you're receiving? And in many cases, some of the community members that we've actually gone to and got a water sample from have never had their water tested. So for them 2 years from now to come back and say, hey, I have a problem with my water, I don't have a comparable. It may be new or it may have been a 20-year-old problem. So what we like to do is actually do that testing, and we've done a number of water wells already to ensure that this is the water quality in this area of the community. Further north it has more iron, further south it has more silt. And then from there we can determine if we had an effect on that. And in some cases, for instance with the geopark, that baseline analysis may say, hey, we have some soils here that were left over from timber industry activities. We may have to bring them to a higher standard before we can develop. So remediate even prior. So the joke is in the energy industry is how much worse are you going to make that environment? I'm hoping with our green energy project that we may actually be able to improve some of the conditions. But I won't know that unless we have a baseline. Long-winded answer, but
it's good.
Pretty clear, hopefully.
Any one of the other councillors? Do you have any questions or comments?
No, just thank you for coming and
Councillor Salt, did you have something?
No, I think I'm good. If I have anything, I can always come up with it later, but thank you, Craig. Yeah.
Okay, I should like to thank you as well. And this is very thorough. I don't understand everything, and I would be remiss to say that I did. However, I do appreciate the work that you have done in the region and the interest that you have shown. And I know that in the future, things will eventually work out. Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, thanks. Thanks very much. Motion to receive, please. Blanchette and Salt. Any discussion? Hearing none. All in favor of receipt? Carried. And agenda item 4.2, we have Ms. Bonnie Markland with Visitors Survey Findings. Welcome to our council meeting.
Thank you, Honourable Mayor Townsend and Councillors Blanchette, Salt and Torgerson for allowing the opportunity to make this presentation. For those who don't know me, I am Bonnie Markland and I operate, along with my husband Paul, Mountain Driftwood Gallery and Lodging. We've had a great year so far with our visitors. As Valemount is a designated tourist town, I had initially decided to run a survey through my guest house and gallery. I wanted a sense from those who could speak English, and we get lots that don't, and who are willing to do the survey. I wanted feedback for improvements of running our business and ideas for artwork. Once seeing some of the comments, I decided that there may be a benefit here for the village in this information as well. I would like to present to the village a gift of comments from the survey and feedback from some of them were locals, workers in the area and tourists, both Canadians, international, and that were here to see Valemount. These surveys were left about the house for the past month to be filled out by occupants and visitors at their leisure. So if you don't mind, could I pass you the surveys? And I actually found some more in the house when I was cleaning today, so it's not all inclusive, so I'll Mr. Reimer.
Thank you. Okay, we'll pass it on.
For those who do not have copies, these are the questions that were asked. I I had asked the guests to not comment on me specifically, and some did anyways, and fortunately, it was positive, especially now that I'm making this public. So some of my titles were, well, first of all, this heading I put on here, this is a survey by a local guest house and gallery operator to assist in defining as a business in the village on how to better represent ourselves in being welcome, accepting, and inclusive. So some of the titles, and I have, I don't know, I think I gave you 8 pages or 6 pages there, and some of them aren't completely filled out. But anyway, some of the titles were, where are you from? Your country or your province? How long have you been here? Are you a resident, traveler, or worker? How has your experience been in Valemount? And what makes you feel the most welcome? And if we were to design a symbol in representation of welcomeness, inclusivity, and acceptance, what would you suggest? And if you could, would you return here, and why? So once you have time to read and ponder, and I don't expect you guys, this is something you can take to discuss later, I would like to respectfully suggest to Village Mayor and Council that you use this information as a bit of a window on the world. In light of Valemount moving into a much broader spectrum on the international landscape, I myself will definitely be considering what I've learned from this survey. Again, thank you for letting me present my findings to the Village of Valemount.
Before you leave, councillors, do you have any comments or questions? Yes, Councillor Salt.
Thank you. Thank you, Bonnie. I was really thrilled when I saw the delegation that you took it upon yourself to do something like this, and I think it's going to be very valuable to get that feedback. You know, we've in the past gotten feedback from our Visitor Tourist Information Center with stats and that, but to have one of our local B&Bs do it, I think is fabulous, and I thank you very much for that.
Yes. And I found it interesting that you'll find there was some blanks that people didn't fill out because they were just at a loss what to say. And so, anyways, yeah.
Yes, Councillor Torgerson, you had a comment.
Yeah, thanks, Bonnie, very much. Just to echo Councillor Salt's comments, it's probably the only survey findings that we've received at the council level from an individual business. That's great, thank you.
Yeah, it was a very productive, very busy year on our behalf, so we're ready for a break. So.
Yes, Councillor.
Was the business survey conducted, was Tourism Valemount able to connect with you last year when that was happening?
The business wall?
Yeah, the business walk?
Oh, no.
No?
No, I
Okay.
think I was unavailable or something.
Okay.
There was something there, yeah.
Hey, Councillor Blanchette.
Thank you. This was a great idea, and I'm really glad that you did this, and I look forward to reading it.
Thank you. Sorry, this is a meeting of council. Mrs. Markland, I really appreciate this. I see where you're from. Mexico, Netherlands, Vancouver, Germany, you know. This is really going to be, and again, Germany and Bavaria and Paris, France. Saskatchewan, that's right. So I think I'm really looking forward to reading this, and on behalf of council, I want to thank you. Oh, China. I want to thank you for taking the initiative to do this. I think it'll be very helpful for even our tourism society.
Yes, we'll pass it on to them.
We certainly shall.
To be used
Thanks
there.
very much.
Okay.
And if you find, you know, if you have another couple of sheets that you
Well,
found
I
today,
have parts of 2 here yet that I...
by all means bring them forward and pass them on to Carlina, and she'll see that we get it. Thanks again very much. I'll take a motion to receive, please. Okay, Salt and Torgerson. Any discussion? Comments? Fabulous, that's right. Okay, all in favor? Carried. Okay, item number 6.1. We have correspondence for action. It's a letter from Mr. John Grogan. And for discussion purposes, motion to receive, please, Council. Blanchette and Salt. Okay, and what is Council's wish? Have you given it any thought? Yes, Councillor Torgerson.
I'm quite happy with the action to actually increase signage in the downtown area.
Okay. Thank you. Councillor Blanchette.
You had mentioned the signage issue before, that it needs to be addressed, so this is good timing.
Councillor Salt?
Have we not actually even referred this issue that was raised previously to the Public Works Committee? I believe if we had referred it, had we not?
Yes.
I do.
And those are the notes that I have, Councillor Salt. I put refer to the Public Works Committee of Council and to the Public Works senior staff to come up with an action plan and to take care of this deficiency. Okay? So if there's no further discussion under receipt, I would take a motion to refer this to the Public Works Committee of Council and to senior Public Works staff. So all in favor of receipt? Carried. And I'll take a motion. Yes, Councillor Blanchette and Councillor Torgerson. We will refer this to the Public Works Committee of Council and Public Works senior staff to come up with a remedy. Okay? Thanks. All in favor? Carried. Okay, agenda item 8.1. We have a recommendation that council appoints Mr. Gord Simmons as the interim chief administrative officer for the village of Valemount and require Mr. Simmons to affirm and sign Schedule D. Oath of office form of the officers and employees bylaw number 653. Torgerson and Salt and Blanchette. Okay. Take your pick. Okay? Okay. Any discussion? Comments? Just a hearty welcome, right?
I gave him a hug right away.
Oh, did you? I always said about Gord Simmons when he was with the regional district of Fraser Fort George. I believe it's 52,000 plus square kilometers in the regional district, and that Mr. Simmons knows where every gopher hole is. Mr. Martin, the CAO, added to that by saying, you walk along a little stream or a creek and he'll ask you who moved those two pebbles. So, again, welcome. Okay. We've got a motion and a seconder. All in favor? Carried. Agenda item 8.2. Recommendation to remove Mr. McNeil as the approving officer for the Village of Valemount and appoints Gord Simmons as approving officer for the Village of Valemount. Okay, this time I'll take Blanchette and Salt. Okay. Any comments or suggestions, questions? Hearing none, all in favor? Carried. Agenda item 8.4, lift station sole sourcing. Yes?
8.3 accounts payable.
Oh, accounts payable, sorry. I crossed that off by mistake. Motion, please, that the council accepts the August 2016 accounts payable for information purposes, Blanchette and Torgerson. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor? Carried. 8.4, lift station sole sourcing. Recommendation that council approve staff to sole source the supply of electrical engineering services and device supply for the Village of Valemount lift station radio integration to Well Engineering Limited. And 2, approve staff to enter into a servicing agreement with Well Engineering Limited for future servicing of the SCADA system for a 5-year term, or, if council prefers, for a term determined by council. So I'll take a motion, but for number 1, and council's wish for 2 or 3. What does council wish? Torgerson?
I'll move that staff approve the sole source.
I'll second that.
Okay, so moved by Councillor Torgerson and second by Councillor Salt that sole sourcing be approved. Okay, any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor? Carried. And what is council's wish for 2 or 3? Yes, councillor.
Just a question for staff, if they're able to answer. How long have we been with Wells?
I believe for the past 5 or 6 years.
Okay. Any further questions? Yes, Councillor Salt?
Would staff feel comfortable in entering another 5-year term, or would they prefer a shorter term?
Do a shorter term and then extend it if agreed upon.
So agenda, or recommendation number 3. Okay, so are you moving number 3?
I'm going to move number 3 for, say, 3 years instead, or even 2 years. More than 1 year, because every year is just too often.
Yes.
But I was thinking 2 or 3 years is what I was recommending.
Any further discussion?
This is open for discussion?
Yes, yes.
I know the Public Works Department is extremely pleased with Well Engineering's customer service. They can be contacted 24/7 anywhere on the globe, and they'll get an answer straight away. And their site visits are frequent to ensure that their equipment is not only doing what they think it's doing based on the telecommunications, but they're doing a physical inspection as well. I would like to see a 3-year with a possible 2-year renewal.
Is that satisfactory to you too, Councillor Blanchette? Okay. Yes, Councillor Salt?
Councillor Torgerson being on the Public Works Committee, I value his input on that, so.
I was going to say that if you weren't too sure, that this could be referred to the Public Works Committee of Council as well and senior staff to come up with 3 years, 2 years, whatever.
If we're going to sole source it, Your Worship, let's do it tonight.
Okay.
3 years is not a lot,
Okay.
but there's an option for renewal.
All right, so then number 3 is approve staff to enter into a servicing agreement with Wells Engineering Limited for future servicing of the SCADA, or is it SCADA? SCADA system for 3 years with a provision to extend it 2 years. Okay? Okay. So that's Salt and Torgerson. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor? Carried. Agenda item 8.5, proposed development variance permit. 1233 8th Avenue, recommendation that council authorizes staff to issue development variance permit 0316 for the property located at 1233 8th Avenue, and the legal description is there, in order to relax the minimum setback requirement of a principal building from the interior side parcel line in the single-family residential schedule of the Village of Valemount zoning bylaw, number 610, as amended from 2 meters to 1 meter, subject to the carport roof not coming within the 1 meter setback. What is council's wish? Councillor Torgerson and Councillor Salt, you are moving the recommendation?
To authorize staff to issue the
Okay.
development variance permit.
Okay, any discussion? Councillor Salt?
Was any feedback received from the neighbors? Okay, thank you.
Okay. Any further questions? Hearing none, all in favor? Carried. Agenda item 8.6, proposed development variance permit. 1185 9th Avenue, recommendation that council authorizes staff to prepare development variance permit 0416 to relax accessory building setback requirements under the residential R1 zoning schedule from 3 meters to 1 meter, and 2, to notify the public of council's intention to consider final approval of the permit at the regular council meeting of October 11, 2016, subject to feedback received by adjacent property owners. What is council's wish? Councillor Torgerson?
To prepare the development variance permit and to notify the public of council's intention to consider final approval.
Okay, seconder? Councillor Blanchette. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor? Carried. 8.7, affordable housing. There is a recommendation. 1, that council approves the costs associated with Ready, Set, Build conference. 2, approves a staff member to register and attend the next available Ready, Set, Build conference, and or approves a member of the Affordable Housing Committee to register and attend the next available Ready, Set, Build conference. Or 4, denies the request to allocate resources to Ready, Set, Build conference. What's council's wish? Yes, councillor.
I would like to support the approval of the costs associated, and 2, approve a staff member or a council member to register and attend the next available Ready, Set, Build conference.
Thank you. Seconder, please. Councillor Blanchette. Okay. Any questions? Yes, councillor.
Just knowing our current staff situation, I was just wondering if we had staff that are prepared and wanting to attend. So thank you for adding the or council member. And I also just wanted to confirm if we had actually allocated enough into our budget for this training and to travel.
Okay. I did speak with the Director of Finance today, and at the time, there was nothing budgeted for this. Okay?
Do we have, I can't remember if we had any kind of an affordable housing budget amount at all that this could fall into, because that is one of our priorities.
Okay.
So that's the only thing I was wondering about.
We can always confirm it at a later date, that's right. Yeah. Miss McNee is here, if,
Do you know,
Or-
I hate asking you questions like this off the top of your head.
Yes.
Lori.
Right, the budget doesn't have set conferences that we attend. It's a general amount, and I believe there isn't an amount left for this cost.
There is or isn't?
There is funds
Okay.
available for it, but I can confirm that tomorrow.
okay. So at this time, I should,
Your worship,
yes,
may I ask for a friendly amendment then?
certainly.
If available, that resources be approved with the, associated with the Ready, Set, Build conference.
Okay, that's good. And that's a friendly amendment. Okay. And I should like council to consider if there's anybody on council that would be interested and feel that it would be valuable to attend this on behalf of the village. Okay? So, and I'm not going to ask for anyone to volunteer tonight, but for council to think about it and then come forward. Okay? All right, is there any further discussion? Okay, all in favor? Carried. 9.1, Bylaw Notice Enforcement and Adjudication Amendment Bylaw Number 750, 2016, recommendation that council approves third reading of Bylaw Notice Enforcement and Adjudication Amendment Bylaw Number 750, as amended. Moved by Councillor Blanchette, seconded by Councillor Torgerson. That council approves third reading. Is there any question or discussion? Hearing, yes, Councillor Torgerson.
No, just for discussion from last council meeting, there was some changes recommended, and I see that they've been instilled.
Okay, all in favor then? Carried. Agenda item 9.2, Municipal Emergency Program Regulatory Bylaw Number 757, 2016. Recommendation that council approves third reading of the Village of Valemount Emergency Program Regulatory Bylaw Number 757. What is council's wish? Moved by Councillor Torgerson, seconded by Councillor Salt. And you're moving the recommendation? Okay. Any questions or discussion? Hearing none, all in favor? Carried. Agenda item 9.3, Village of Valemount Water Supply and Regulations Amendment Bylaw Number 759. Recommendation that council approves third reading of Village of Valemount Water Supply and Regulations Bylaw Number 759, 2016, as amended. Motion, please. Moved by Councillor Blanchette, seconded by Councillor Salt. That council approves third reading of the Village of Valemount Water Supply and Regulations Amendment Bylaw Number 759, as amended. Yes, Councillor Salt.
Sorry.
Okay. Oh, you were wanting to vote?
Yeah.
Okay. If there are no questions or discussion, all in favor? Carried. Okay, that's all right. You're in a hurry to rush out of here, right? Okay. Agenda item 10.1, council reports. I'll start with Councillor Torgerson this time. We'll go backwards.
Sure.
Where are we at today? Okay. Excuse me, Your Worship. And on the 31st, I attended a special meeting of council. And on the 7th, I attended another special meeting of council, followed by a direct heat use committee meeting. On the 12th, I had a Valemount Community Forest Board meeting. And earlier today, I had a Tourism Valemount meeting. And I stand here before you today, and that concludes my report.
Thank you, Councillor. Councillor Salt.
I attended the same two special council meetings. I'm juggling between two calendars here to see what all I've been up to.
We don't want to know everything.
Everything. No, you don't need to know everything. That's for sure. I had a Trans-Canada Yellowhead Highway Association teleconference on the 26th, Board of Directors. That was 26th of August, sorry. And we also had on The 6th, I have a Valemount Children's Activity Society Board meeting. And I'm here tonight. I think that's it.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Blanchette.
I had the 31st and the 7th special in camera meetings. The 12th, I had RVSS and CYMH. That's it.
CYMH?
Child and Youth Mental Health.
Thank you very much.
Sorry.
Okay, and following my return from Saskatchewan, I attended the Northern Mayors and Regional District Chairs Caucus in Prince George last Friday. It was a full day. We also had 2 cabinet ministers attend, and there was a guest speaker. I'll give a little notes to council a little later, but it was the Ombudsman, and that was a very interesting keynote address that he gave us. And we also had a whole hour with 2 cabinet ministers, Ministers Bond and Morris. And the Mayor's Caucus was extremely interesting. Certainly there was a lot of discussion that one doesn't hear at UBCM or NCLGA, but in a closed room with the regional district chairs and mayors. And there was also the chief of the Nisga'a Nation that was there as well. Yes. Okay. And so once again, Councillor Blanchette, I want to thank you for being acting mayor and presiding over the last council meeting. While I was at my reunions, I had a good time, and I did think of you.
Oh, good.
Okay.
I thought of you too.
I'm sure. So thanks again. Okay. And 12.1, outstanding council resolutions. Recommendation that council accepts the list of outstanding previous council resolutions. Motion by Salt and Torgerson. And is there any questions or comments? Hearing none. All in favor? Oh, you have one?
Gord, are you ready? There's some. Sorry, Mr. Simmons. That's my question.
Oh, that's your question.
I mean, there's one column that has one name in it,
Oh, okay.
so glad to have you on board.
Yes, yeah.
Glad to be here.
Yes, we're very appreciative. Okay, so we have a mover and a shaker, don't we? For receiving the outstanding list? No? Okay. So Salt and Torgerson. No further comments or questions, all in favor? Carried. And 14.1, public comments on items considered by council as part of the approved agenda. Do we have any public? Yes, Mr. Grogan. Oh, stand up, please. Give us your name and address.
Yes, of course. John Grogan, 880 Hillside Drive. Thank you, Your Worship. I penned that letter with 2 asks in it. Maybe I wasn't as clear as I might have been. One of them was pending positive outcomes on some of those deficiencies that I think I believe that are there. There's no paint at the crosswalks and the signage. That for liability purposes, you might consider an extra slow order on that particular crossing and maybe the one at Home Hardware. I didn't mention Home Hardware in my letter, but it's a similar crossing. The second ask, I was hoping that I attended the meeting in hopes that council would have some questions for me, and the bottom line there was I asked if there was a health and safety committee that had residents on it. My offer would be, if there were, I would be happy to serve on a committee such as that. I have some experience with Sienna. I was the co-chair for the Health and Safety Committee for the Mountain Region. It was a significant posting for a number of years. It was part-time, but I think I did an adequate job.
Thank you, and we'll get back to you on that.
Thank you.
Okay. Are there any further public comments regarding tonight's agenda? Yes.
I'm Rashmi Narayan. My address is 66 Elm Street. And I wanted to speak about the affordable housing item on the agenda. And I'm grateful to hear that you guys are considering sending someone to attend the course. I wasn't aware this was on the agenda, and I wanted to let, it's not a small commitment to go to that, and it requires some attending the conference as well as taking some online courses and assignments. And I say that because I just signed up for it, and I'm attending that conference on Friday. And so I'm glad to see that council is moving forward on this important issue. And I'll be happy to support you guys in the same as well. Thanks.
Any further public comments regarding any agenda item that was considered tonight? Hearing none, I'll take a recommendation, please, that council receives the public comments. Blanchette and Salt. Okay, all in favor? Carried. And I believe we'll just take a motion to adjourn. Take your pick, Carlina. We only need one. Okay. Okay. So Councillor Salt. Yeah, she's very anxious. Okay. So thank you, council. My goodness, 10 to 8, and we're done. Isn't that great?